Welcome to Milk Market Tidbit for the March Cold Storage Report that USDA released on Thursday. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones with Farm Institute, and I'm recording this on Saturday, April the 26th. So the cold storage report comes out after the milk production report, usually very close in time, and then we get the dairy products report that will finish up the month here about a week later. So where are we at? So for the cold storage report for February, first they revised down the amount of cheese in cold storage, which is going to actually revise down the change, of course. So that would be considered a bit bullish here. Butter stocks basically didn't change anything materialistic here. We ended up about 1.392, which is a bit lower than the typical, which was about 1.398, and actually a little bit lower than what StoneX had it at 1.397. And the change, of course, was a little bit lower than what we would thought. Now compare that to a year ago, and I think that's the important one to kind of look at how we've done, is we're down about 5% in cold storage. We were as high as 1.454, so now we're down to 1.391. And last year we took cheese out of cold storage, where this year we actually put it in, so that was a 19.4 million pound difference there. But overall, very much, I think, a bullish story for cheese. So I think what this tells us is that February cheese disappearance may be better than originally estimated. That's because less went into cold storage. And right now I would say that March cheese disappearance is probably very much like February, because when I put together these typicals, I assumed that we weren't going to have much of a change in demand, and in fact I think that's where we're going to end up. So here's the graph of cheese stocks over time for March. Again, we were on this tremendous upward trend. We hit almost 1.5 billion here at one point, and then we've been turning down. And if we kind of put a black line on what we've been doing recently, somewhere in 2022 probably is where some of the change started. And now we are definitely pulling more cheese out of cold storage than we're putting in. Same thing with American stocks. This was going up fairly significantly. Then we kind of changed. And again, somewhere probably 2023, because in fact that point is quite a bit off of there. We've really started pulling these down. But American stocks still are 57% of the total cold storage. Same thing with other stocks. This has been going up fairly significantly. From my data goes back to like 2015. And then we started turning down. And if we look at that trend, somewhere right in here, somewhere 2023 probably, that we started pulling cheese out more than putting it in. Now, if we look at butter, as I said, there was very little change in February. This came in about 324. That's quite a bit lower than what the typical is, and just a little bit lower than what StoneX was. So that was very, very similar to theirs. And StoneX pretty well nailed the change in cold storage, of course. I was expecting a little bit more to going in. So again, that probably is going to tell us that demand was probably a little bit better for butter. And butter stocks don't look like cheese at all, because we had been going up, and then we're still going up. With cheese stocks have all been coming down. And I didn't draw this second black line all the way over because I don't think it makes sense. But right in here somewhere, it was just a significant change in direction. And so we're still going up at a much slower pace. So I'll talk about what some of these changes all mean in my Sunday podcast. Again, if you want to subscribe to that, just send me an email and I'll get you on that list. That's $200 a year for that Sunday podcast. So this cold storage report came out on Thursday. Now this next week we're going to have the classic components, but really not much else. And it's not until the following week on the 6th that we get the dairy products report.